Now, the Three Martini Lunch with Greg Corombos and Jim Garrity.
And welcome, everyone, to the Monday edition of the Three Martini Lunch, along with Jim Garrity of National Review. I'm Greg Corombos of Radio America. Good, bad, and crazy martinis for conservatives today, as usual. And, Jim, we actually start with Bob Woodward on the set of Morning Joe today, talking about the Hillary Clinton email scandal. As we reported extensively last week, as did many other people, Hillary Clinton essentially forced by the FBI to hand over her private email server. That's now going to be combed over to see what, if anything, can be recovered. There was one report over the weekend, I believe, from the company who was helping her with security, and I use that word in quotes, suggesting that there is very likely a full backup of these emails somewhere, so it might be possible to actually get all of them. On to the set of Morning Joe today, Bob Woodward saying this strikes him as rather Nixonian.
You've got a massive amount of data. It, in a way, reminds me of the Nixon Tapes. Thousands of hours of secretly recorded conversations that Nixon thought were exclusively his, that he was not going to get them. Hillary Clinton initially took that position. I'm not turning this over. There's going to be no cooperation. Now they're cooperating, but this has to go on a long, long time, and the answers are probably not going to be pretty.
Jim, Hillary Clinton says that Republicans are responsible for trying to turn this non-issue into a major story. There goes that crazy right-winger Bob Woodward again.
I've been thinking hard about this scandal here, Greg. And there's two things that I think need to be made because, we'll kind of foreshadow one of our other martinis here that she's laughing it off with that lovely laugh. That ultimately, this is not really a big deal. This is all playing politics and stuff like that. And almost everybody in the national security apparatus, everybody who's worked and everybody who's handled classified information says, no, this is not. This is really important. And this wasn't one or two documents. We're talking about, tens of thousands of documents in these emails. I believe they're up to 60 emails they have found that have contained classified information. The Democratic base doesn't want to hear that this matters, but it does. One of the things that's kind of been a fascinating, almost a dog that hasn't barked in this process is, if you were President Obama and you found out that your Secretary of State had been using an insecure system for 4 years, and that folks at the Defense Intelligence Agency are saying, "Oh yeah, that got compromised." Foreign intelligence services were reading her emails pretty much from day one, and that everything your Secretary of State did for 4 years was compromised by some unknown foreign intelligence service. Greg, wouldn't you be, I'm going to use the term irked, and there's other word, ticked. Wouldn't you be furious about that?
Miffed. Strongly miffed.
There we go. In the sense that, that basically, because of her own belief that she didn't have to follow the rules everybody else, Hillary Clinton weakened the strategic advantage of the Obama administration in its interactions with other countries all around the globe. Right? And that's what makes this really big, right? I mean, the secrecy is bad, the criminality is bad, but that ultimately there are certain rules in effect to make sure stuff that's secret stays secret. And Hillary didn't think she had to follow those rules. And now the question we've all kind of been wondering here is what went wrong in Obama's first term that because of this compromised information? Did we go into negotiations with China or Russia or something like that, and they seemed to know everything we were going to say before we said it? So I kind of keep waiting for this, but seeing Bob Woodward use the term Nixonian, it's kind of a nice big flashing red siren to say, wait a minute, this is big and consequential. Because what the entire Hillary strategy is going to be, this is nonsense. This is all playing politics. That it really doesn't matter that much. The consequences aren't bad enough. And I think we need to illuminate the consequences of that to really make the case that, no, this is someone who always puts her personal interest ahead of the national interest, and the consequences can be quite dire.
All right, on to the bad martini now. And, Jim, we've got the first official position paper from the Trump campaign, and to a little surprise, it's on immigration reform. And the position paper itself can be debated. The Trump campaign wants to finish the wall. They want Mexico to pay for it, and if they don't pay for it, they're going to increase fees on border crossing cards, on NAFTA worker visas, and other ways. And you detail that in the Morning Jolt. In addition to that, of course, he wants to send everybody home who's here illegally and then go through some sort of process to let the good ones back in, as he would say it. But the bad martini here is Ann Coulter's reaction. Ann Coulter, for the past couple cycles, has basically decided that immigration is the only issue that matters, and clearly it's a huge issue, and it should be one of the most important issues. But she's apparently casting absolutely everything else to the side here. She's got 3 tweets that are raising eyebrows, and we'll get to the worst one last. First, she says it's Morning in America again, based on Donald Trump's immigration policy paper. Then she calls it the greatest political document since the Magna Carta. I haven't read it yet, but I have a feeling the Constitution might be a little better. And the last one is the one that should be raising a lot of hackles here. She says, I don't care if @real Donald Trump wants to perform abortions in the White House after this immigration policy paper. So, Jim, she's obviously known and given to hyperbole. She's kind of a political shock jock that some people are greatly entertained by. Others find her kind of annoying because she draws a lot of negative attention to the conservative movement. But at a time where the abortion issue is so much in the headlines and there's a real opportunity to change hearts and minds on this issue, the way she just callously throws that in there is horrible.
Yeah, I mean, obviously this could be exaggeration for comic effect. You know, a joke is funny because there's a little bit of truth in it, or it's an exaggeration of the truth. Those of us who are not so enamored with Donald Trump feel like there are all kinds of other issues that he's simply not conservative on. This weekend, he said that he supports affirmative action. Some conservatives may do a double take on that. In the past, he supported the assault weapons ban. My colleague Charlie Cook pointed this out to Ann Coulter, and it just didn't seem to shake her at all. This tweet, even if it's kind of defined as, meant to be comic, is kind of like the distilled essence of this, that the issue of illegal immigration and border security is so important to us that we will that we'll toss every other issue out the window. That if we get this, we will give up on every other priority we have. And for a lot of conservatives, no, that's not a good deal, right? We're not willing to make that adjustment. And apparently, Trump said during his interview with Meet the Press, he may have contributed to Planned Parenthood in the past. Now, if you're a pro-life Republican, I know Trump says that he's pro-life now because the friends of his ended up having that fantastic child. Now, here's the thing. If you look at that and you think, good heavens, every human being who is conceived and is in the womb has the potential to be a superstar, has the potential to be the one who goes up and invents a cure for cancer, and thus every life should be valued. Fantastic, terrific. God bless you, Donald Trump. Having said that, the fact that this guy's been, I'm extremely pro-choice and made comments like that in the past, and for Ann Coulter to kind of even jokingly suggest, yeah, we'll give up on abortion as long as we get an immigration wall, a border wall. There are a lot of us who have a bunch of other priorities besides immigration who feel like the Trump supporters don't really care about any other issue. And I think that's driving a good chunk of the tension here. So we will see how it shakes out. I do kind of think that the suspicion that the Trump base is all about immigration to the expense of all other issues is going to be worsened because of comments like this by Ann Coulter. And I don't see this divide bridging itself anytime soon.
No, absolutely not. And I don't know that a lot of people who are passionate about immigration would hold that same position. I think most people who are passionate about securing the border and getting the problem under control are just as passionate, or at least quite passionate, about a number of other issues, including the pro-life one. So I think she definitely went way, way, way too far there. All right, on to the crazy martini now, and this is actually crazy in various levels. This is the Huffington Post version of the story. Senator Bernie Sanders, independent Vermont, says he was not the person who sent an apology email to Black Lives Matter activists and believes an apology is unnecessary. During an appearance on NBC's Meet the Press, the Democratic presidential hopeful was asked about the apology email that BuzzFeed obtained. Well, that was sent out by a staffer, not by me, Sanders responded. Look, we are reaching out to all kinds of groups, absolutely. But on this issue of Black Lives Matter, let me be very clear. The issue they are raising is a very, very important issue, and there's no candidate for president who would be stronger in fighting against institutional racism and, by the way, reforming a broken criminal justice system. But he went on to say that an apology was not necessary and that the staffer sent that out. This was sent out without my knowledge. So, first of all, Jim, the sense that someone in the campaign, at least, thought there needed to be an apology by the candidate who got forced out of his own rally is pretty crazy in and of itself. And then the fact that the candidate has no idea what the rest of his campaign is doing in issuing the apology.
Yeah, this is a nice layer upon layer of crazy. 3, really. 4. All right. The first is a bit of craziness. The Black Lives Matter protesters felt entitled to go up and take control of the microphone at a Sanders event put together by the Sanders campaign and all that. Sanders' reaction of just kind of standing there, and it's like the picture. He looks so meek in the pictures. He looks so chastened, and maybe there's this attitude of maybe if I wait patiently, it'll give me the microphone back after a while. I hope, please. And kind of this. Look, this is your rally, Bernie Sanders. You paid, to quote Ronald Reagan, you paid for that microphone, right? You set all this up. Why are you letting these people come in and bully you? And if you won't stand up for yourself, how the hell are we supposed to believe you're going to stand up for the country? So there's all of that aspect. Then the third is that, the third crazy part is that there's some staffer who thinks, well, we should apologize for not giving them the microphone immediately. Then the last part is these, rogue staffers are going up. Now, look, again, you have a campaign working. Something tells me Bernie Sanders does not seem like a detail-oriented micromanager. Seems like more of a big picture kind of guy. And look, it's not the first time some staffer has gone off and tried to handle something and ended up backfiring in the campaign's face. It is kind of revealing, I think, that staffers going rogue is something we'll have to keep an eye on as the Bernie Sanders campaign continues.
Interesting start to the week, although I will point out, Jim, far better than the start to last week. So we're making some progress. Clear. Jim Garrity of National Review. I'm Greg Corombos of Radio America. Thanks for being with us today, and be sure to tune in again on Tuesday for the next 3 Martini Lunch.